Yeah, we back. All black everything. Here we go. We back with the Communist Manifesto. Karl Marx and Fred Engels. Frederick, Freddie, Lil Fred. You know. This is an extension of Learn With Me, All Black Everything spinoff. Here we go. All Black Everything platform. Like it, share it, subscribe it if you like the content. We're doing it, sharing this information. That's all it is. Yeah. I do not own the rights to this music, but it's bumping. Shout out to all my African music makers, Ghana, especially. They got Wagwan. Yeah. Let's go. Right where we left off. It says the manifesto being our joint production, I consider myself bound to state that the fundamental proposition which forms its nucleus belongs to Marx. That proposition is that in every historical epoch, the prevailing mode of economic production and exchange and the social organization necessarily following from it form the basis upon which it is built up, and from which alone can be explained the political and intellectual history of that epoch, and consequently the whole history of mankind. Since the dissolution of primitive tribal society, holding land in common ownership has been a history of class struggles, contest between exploiting and exploited, ruling and oppressed classes, that the history of these class struggles from a series of evolutions in which nowadays a stage has been reached where the exploited and the oppressed class, the proletariat, cannot attain its emancipation from the sway of the exploiting and the ruling class and the bourgeois without at the same time and once and for all emancipating society at large from all exploitation, oppression, class distinctions, and class struggles. Okay. This proposition, which is in my opinion, is destined to do for history what Darwin's theory had done for biology. Both of us, had been gradually approaching for some years before 1845. How far I had independently progressed towards it is best shown by the conditions in which the working class of England. But when I again met Marx at Brussels in the spring of 1845, he had already worked out and put it before me in terms almost as clear as those in which I have stated here. From our joint preface to the German edition of the 1882, I quote, however much the state of things may have altered during the last 25 years, the general principles laid down in the manifesto are, on the whole, as correct today as ever. Here and there, some details might be improved. The practical application of the principle will defend, as the manifesto itself states, everywhere, at all times, on the historical conditions for the time being existing, and for that reason, no special stress is laid on the revolutionary measures proposed at the end of the section 2. That passage would, in many respects, be very differently worded today. In view of the gigantic respects, the gigantic strides of modern industry since 1848, and the accompanying improvement and extended organization of the working class, in view of the practical experience gained first from the February Revolution, of the political experience, and then still more in the public commune, the Paris Commune, where the proletariat for the first time held political power for 2 whole months. This program has in some details been acquainted. One thing especially was proven by the Commune, viz., that the working class cannot simply lay hold of the ready-made state machinery and wield it for its own purposes. C. The Civil War in France, addressed by General Council of the International Workingmen's Association, 1871, where the point is further developed. Further, it is self-evident that the criticism of of socialist literature is defined in relation to to the present time because it comes down only to 1847. Also, that the remarks on the revelation, the relation, of the communists to the various opposition parties, section 5, although in principle still correct, yet in practical are acquainted because the political situation has been entirely changed and the progress of history has swept from the earth the greater portion of the political parties there enumerated. Quote, but then the manifesto has been a historical document which we have no longer any right to alter, end quote. The present translation is by Mr. Samuel Moore, the translator of the great portions of Marx Capital. We have revised it in common, and I have added a few notes explanatory of historical allusions. London, January 30, 1888. That's your boy, English speaking. All right, we getting into it. Manifesto of the Communist Party by Karl Marx and Frederick Engels. A specter is haunting Europe, the specter of communism. All the powers of old Europe have entered into a holy alliance to exercise this specter. Pope and Tsar Metternich and Guzia, French radicals and German police spies. Where is the party in opposition that has been decried as communist by its opponents in power? Where the opposition that has not hurled back the braiding reproach of communism against the more advanced opposition parties, as well as against its reactionary adversaries. Two things result from this fact. One, communism is already acknowledged by all European powers to be itself a power. Two, it is high time that communists should openly, in the face of the whole world, publish their views, their aims, their tendencies, and meet this nursery tale of the specter of communism with the manifesto of the party itself. To this end, communists of various nationalities have assembled in London and sketched the following manifesto to be published in the English, French, German, Italian, Flemish, and Danish languages. They're getting the whole gamut out there. The bourgeois and the proletariats. The history of all hitherto existing societies is the history of the class struggle. Freemen and slaves, patrician and plebeian, lord and serf, guild master and journeyman, in a word, oppressor and oppressed, stood in constant opposition to one another, carried on by uninterrupted, now hidden, now open fight, a fight that each time ended either in a revolutionary reconstruction of society at large or in the common ruin of the contending classes. In the earlier epochs of history, we find most everywhere a complicated arrangement of society in various orders, a manifold graduation of social rank. In ancient Rome, we have patricians, knights, plebeians, slaves. In the Middle Ages, feudal lords, vassals, guild masters, journeymen, apprentices, serfs. In almost all of these classes, again, subordinate graduations. I'm sorry, gradations, not graduations. Subordinate gradations. Modern bourgeois society that has sprouted from the ruins of the feudal society has not done away with class antagonism. It has but established new classes, new conditions of oppression, new forms of struggle in places of old ones. Sound familiar? Sound familiar? Just change. It don't change, but it changes a little bit. That's all. Class to class. You got to wake up, pick up a book. Learn with me. But here we go. Our epoch, the epoch of the bourgeois, possesses, however, this distinctive feature. It has simplified the class antagonism. Society as a whole is more and more splitting up into two great hostile camps, into two great classes directly facing each other, bourgeois and proletariat. From the surge of the Middle Ages sprang the chartered bourgeois, the bourgeois, of the earliest towns. From these burgesses, the first elements of the bourgeois were developed. The discovery of America, the rounding of the Cape opened up fresh ground for the rising bourgeois. The East Indian and Chinese markets, the colonization of America, trade with the colonies, the increase in the means of exchange, and the commodities generally gave to commerce, to navigation, manufacturing system took its place. The guild masters were pushed aside, and the manufacturing middle class division of labor between the different corporate guilds vanished in the face of division of labor in the single workshop, in each single workshop. Meantime, the markets kept ever growing, the demand ever rising. Even manufacture no longer suffice. Thereupon, stream and machinery revolutionized industrial production. The place of manufacture was taken by the giant modern industry, the place of the industrial middle class by the industrial millionaires. The leaders of whole industrial armies, the modern bourgeois. Modern industry was established the world market has established the world market for which the discovery of America paved the way. This market has given an immense development to commerce, to navigate to communication by land. This development has in its turn reacted on the extension of industry. And then the proportion of as industry, commerce, navigation, railways extended in the same proportion to the bourgeois developed, increased its capital, and pushed into the background every class handed down from the Middle Ages. We see therefore how the modern bourgeois itself, the product of a long course of development, of a series of evolutions in the modes of production and exchange. We're gonna leave it right there, and we're talking about the bourgeois and the proletariats and the manifesto, the Communist Manifesto. Get with it. Check it out. All Black Everything platform. We're doing learn with me / pick up a book. That's what it is. Like and subscribe and share it. Peace, love. We out. We'll be right back with the Communist Manifesto, right where we left off. All Black Everything. Shout it out. Out loud. Peace and love.